Flooding the market, a break from the garbage. An artist, sensitive about mind pardon. No margin for error, flawless be rarer. The black cat goddess, you walking with a panther. Painting these pictures with words like Samantha, MacGyver. Alchemy on the track, make it lava. And I won't stop rocking till I retire. Singular or plural, she break numero uno. Colder than you.
Hey, it's your girl, Madam Money, aka Trap, and welcome to the official Salt in the Game album review of Kendrick Lamar's Mr. Morale and the Big Steppers. Make sure you hit that like button, make sure you hit that subscribe button, and let's get it. Now, we all know that it's been 5 years since Kendrick Lamar dropped his last album. So this is one of the most highly anticipated albums to date, to be honest with you. When the people call for an album, they want an album. And I am so excited and happy that Kendrick decided to take out the time that was needed to put together a project like this. This shit is crazy. Now, it is 3 ways to approach an album like this. It's a double disc, first and foremost. But we can approach it from the lyrics standpoint, the content. We can approach it from the musicality, what's going on sonically with production, and we can also give our own perspective into this album and how it relates to us. Now, it is crazy because an album like this, it is no way possible for anybody to like hit the nail on the head when it comes down to what is actually going on in a lot of places in here. You know, there's a lot of things that are very upfront and like right in your face. You heard? And then there's a lot of nuances and things that happen that might not be so, you know, just out there for us to see. But we're going to get through it, you heard, because this is just an immaculate project. Now, it starts off with the track United in Grief. And it starts off with, you know, a voice. And it's kind of reminiscent to me of, like, the Catholic Church. I ain't even gonna lie to you that, you know, I hope you find some peace of mind in this lifetime. Just because it's so ominous and monotone, it's giving me that feel. Even when the chorus comes in on the second part of this, I hope you find some paradise in this lifetime. Even though that's not something that, you know, any religion will lay into, it's coming across like that. I'm gonna tell you too, this first track is the first part of it is very theatrical in a sense. And he touches places of this like theatrical soliloquy type thing here and there in the album. Makes it a very well-rounded project. It's crazy because I did see it as a sense of like this like religious type of thing going on, even though is not religious based. He actually denounces religion all across this whole album. But just the coming in there and, you know, it sounds very testimonial like. So he's going into these places of how he grieves, right? United in grief. I grieve different. That's a part of what he's saying in this. He's telling us this first song that he grieves through sex. He grieves through materialism. Just the whole concept of him being in therapy. Because one of the first voices that we hear said, tell them the truth. We also hear what turns to be out his, you know, girlfriend in this album. Tell them your, you know what I mean? And it's kind of testimonial like through therapy. I found that really, really just a dope way to start the project off, because we have this thing in the black community of black men in therapy. Even though over the last couple of years, it's been, you know, less frowned upon for black men to take a step to have therapy, because, you know, if we're being real about it, the black male has no outlet to just get all of the things that they go through, you feel me, out there. Therapy is something that's frowned upon. Even myself, when it comes down to, you know, my male friends and, you know, cohorts and stuff like that, when they say that they want to go to therapy, I'll be the first one to admit, I'm saying, you don't need that. You know what I mean? You don't need that. So just him telling people that he's in this place where he knows he needs therapy and he's getting therapy was really, really, really just dope to me. Coming in there saying, it's been 1,855 days since my last. It's just reminiscent to me of it's been so-and-so days since my last confession. So he's pouring it all out there for everybody. Really, really just a dope way to start this album off. And he just attacks the mic. The second half of this where the beat starts to build up, he's just attacking the mic in a way that he's getting everything off of his chest. And as we progress, we'll figure out he has a lot to say. That's why he said, you should be scared. All right, the next track on here, N95, which he put out a dope video for. Now, the track N95 is seemingly denouncing, social media, materialism again, just like trying to call out to everybody who plays into that so hard that they need to fall back, son. You need to fall back off of all these things, because once you strip away the Birkin bags and the this and the that, you ugly as fuck. You out of pocket. You feel me? It's a call for everybody to get back on code. You understand what that means? When he's telling y'all you're out of pocket, get back in pocket, he's telling you please get back in code, because we have totally strayed away from the code. Now, if you don't know what the code is, hit me up and I will let you know. All right? But the video to this is so layered and just so well put together that there's pieces and influences in there that is not said in the track that you see in the video. So, okay, if you've seen the video, he is portraying himself as Jesus Christ. He's not walking on water. He's above water. He's telling us how, you kind of crucify him for not being the savior that we all want him to be or need him to be in the community, even though he's one of the most, in the forefront musically when it comes down to social issues. You feel me? His counterparts do not attack issues like that. I even went so far to say in previous reviews and stuff like that, the song All Right is something that got us through, the whole Black Lives Matter movement, something else that he denounces as we get along in this album as well. There's a piece in the video where there's a child. He is presented with a black doll and a white doll. Well, this plays into Mammy and Kenneth Clark's doll test. This is something that formed the Brown versus Board of Education in Supreme Court, that, even though we're separate, it's this whole separate but equal thing, that we're not getting the same education as our cohorts. It's this thing of, picking which doll is prettier. Now, as we move along in that, and I've, came to think about it, it's a lady, her name is Jane Elliott, and she did a brown eye, blue eye test, and we kind of contribute this to this white lady of this idea of matching the two and seeing where racism goes based on physical characteristics. What do you think is prettier? Who is smarter based off of these things? But this is something that was started by two black professors in the 40s, Mammy and Kenneth Clark, and we need to give them credit where credit is due, because they shaped the whole Brown versus Board of Education decision. There's also a part in here where he's rapping down the hallway with Baby Keem. I ain't gonna hold you, I might call him Lil Keem somewhere in here. You know what I mean? I definitely understand that that's his cousin. He's trying to amp him up and stuff like that. But there's a piece in there where, he kisses Kendrick on the cheek as he says, will you sell out your soul for leverage? And Baby Keem kisses him on the cheek, reminiscent of Judas and Jesus. This is just so ill, just an ill track and an ill opening on here, because this shit actually knocking. Now, how you get across to the youth at times, you could be really in a phrase, but you gotta have some shit knocking as well. This shit is definitely knocking. I do like the fact that he point out who they copy off of. They copy off us. You feel me? So he's letting his discourse just all out there. From these first two tracks on here, I knew that his expected sales, the projections of sales was gonna go down. I was actually somebody who thought that he could sell 1 million, his first week, because it's so highly anticipated. He is a radio artist where he gets these things on the radio and, they do well. They chart all the time. He does not miss when it comes down to that. So be it that we hadn't got a real, rollout except for the Heart Part 5, that's a whole different thing. You heard, I felt that he would be able to hit this target. But be it based on these first 2 tracks, this album is not for everybody. This album is not for everybody. This album is for us. This album is for the black community, and this is a wake-up call to the black community. That's what this whole album is about. He touches every single problem that we have in the black community across this album. It is real, real crazy. Next track on here, Worldwide Steppers. It's weird because he's such like a known figure and stuff like that. He's cross-generational gaps when it comes down to these things. And I was actually talking to my mom, and I was telling her I was about to listen to, Kendrick Lamar's Mr. Morale and the Big Steppers. And she said something to me, and I don't know how true it holds here, but it seems like it does kind of tie into this. And she said to me, she was like, steppers? I haven't heard that word in a long time. I said, what do you mean? A stepper, we think it's stepping, you feel me, and stuff like that. Even though he does play into this, this tap dancing thing, and those are the steppers. But my mom brought it to my attention that a stepper back in the 70s and back in the Black Panther Party era were the gangsters. These were the gangs. These were the people holding it down or doing whatever. These were the steppers. So when he came on the track and said, we are the killers, we are the this, we are the this, we are the that, it kind of made a little bit sense to me, even for Kodak to be on here. This is the first time we hear Kodak Black on here. A lot of people don't understand why Kodak is on here, but he lets us know later down the line exactly why he is on here. He goes into talking about his experiences fucking white women, okay? And that's another topic that is so blasé and passé in the black community that, black women found a real offense to their men messing around with white women. Even me and myself, I have a problem with this. Not so much as it being an interracial thing. I have more of a problem when the black male brings a white female into the community and puts her on a pedestal, as opposed to that white female taking the black male out the hood. That's how you make progress, when you put the problem right into the other part of the community. And he touched bases on this. You feel me? He touched bases how, it felt good to be riding around and doing this. And, the white girl's father was a judge and all of these things. And now, fucking his ancestors, like having his ancestors watch him fuck a white bitch is like a retaliation to him. It's like this thing. And that has always been the discourse between, the black male, like white male dynamic. One of the major features of these things is that they're going to take or rape our women. So for him to put that on the forefront and just say like a retaliation against these things for all the ancestors who went through this, falsely accused, even Emmett Till himself as a child was lied upon, you feel me, and died because of this whole thing with interracial things going on. I would like to say too that you will find in history that, black men really don't fantasize white women as much as white women fantasize about the black male. I'm going to repeat that. They do not fantasize about white women as much as white women fantasize about the black male. There are thousands, okay, of stories and studies about, slavery, the white head of the household or plantation or whatever have you, back in the day, having these type of things with small black children as well. So it's just a strong thing going on here. The beat switch is crazy on here. I don't want to knock nobody, like everybody who had a hand in the production of this. I don't care if you whispered in the background on this shit. Well done. I don't want to sit here and like pick apart production and all of that stuff except for one track, when we get up to it. But this was really a dope record. So we're like 3 tracks in, and he's tackling some tough topics, and it's not going to stop. It's not going to let up. I like the fact that he also says, like, not only is we have these outside influences killing us, and we're supposed to be these killers, but we're actually killing ourselves in these same respects. He has a line in here that says the high blood pressure flooded the catering. That's a reference to the salt. You feel me? I'm here to throw salt in the game, salt in your life, but not salt in your mouth. You feel me? Dope. So next track on here is Die Hard, and a lot of people are gravitating to this track because it's an easy listen. And even on the easy listen tracks, he does not let up to you not 1 second. It's a part on here where it says Sarafina flaming us. That's in the hook. You feel me? Sarafina is flaming us. Now, if you're not familiar with Sarafina was a movie that came out in the 90s. It starred Whoopi Goldberg, and it was about education and apartheid in South Africa. So again, he's showing us his discourse with this, separate but equal education thing that's going on that he just told us about, track prior to. Just really, really dope. Really, really dope. Just an upbeat thing that kind of breaks up that hardness of the production and all that stuff that's going on here. And now you could sit into the album a little bit. Now, once you sit into the album, the next track on here is called Father Time. Again, this is a dope record. Now, he name drops, Kanye West and Drake on here. Kanye got back with Drake. I was highly confused. And he goes on to say how he doesn't feel like he was mature enough to do that. So I want to put it into perspective like this, right? We have an instance between Kanye and Drake where Kanye feels that Drake slept with his wife. All of these things have happened, and now he is he's learned to turn the other cheek. Kanye West right now is all about religion, something, he's always been into, but he has put all of this to the forefront now. So when Kendrick said he's not mature enough to do that, he's saying, religion is making you be friends with somebody who disrespected your wife. But on the flip side of that, in my mind, it always bring me back to Pusha T and Drake, where, Drake said a bar about this man's wife on the record, and Pusha's not having that. Pusha T dismantled this man's whole image because he spoke ill in passing. It wasn't even as deep as what Drake and Kanye was going through when it came down to family matters. You understand what I'm saying? Dismantled this man and put, sunk his battleship a little bit on there. But just really, really dope. For something to be so deep and so dope at the same time is crazy. So the next track on here is an interlude, is Kodak again. But the next track on here is Rich Spirit. And this shit is that knocking. This is knocking again. Again, we getting these easy listen things because he's building up to something that is very, very hard to listen to. But on Rich Spirit, Stop playing with me before I turn you into a song. I don't know who he's talking to. I would like to know who he's talking to. You feel me? He would have to tell us who he's talking about. But somebody out there playing with him, he don't like that shit. And he about to put you on wax. Bitch, I'm attractive. Can't fuck with you. I'm fasted. Just dope ways to just say, let it go and let all these things going. I'm rich in spirit now, and I got to do all of these things with you. Crazy. It's also this underlying thing with the internet across the whole entire record. So sometimes the points are repetitive, the topics here discussing is repetitive, but they're said in different ways where you have to catch all of these things. And when you catch all of these things and you put it together, it's a child, when you're teaching them A, B, C, D, A, B, C, D. He's coming across like that on the whole entire album. He's just trying to drill it into your mind what is going on in our community. Straight up. The next track on here, produced by The Alchemist, is We Cry Together. This is featuring Taylor Page. Now, it is crazy because this goes back into that theater rest type of vibe that we caught on the first half of United in Grief. I tell you, this thing is wicked what they put together here. So it's unconventional. right? And it's kind of playing out like a play on wax, like a theater scene on wax, where him and this girl is going back and forth, and she's calling him out, seemingly about infidelity, and he's taking it and he's calling her out too, and all of these things happen, and that towards the end of the track, it's all put to the side because they start having sex with each other. This is something that happens every day. You feel me? Between couples. Now, I ain't gonna hold you. I ain't as hard as Taylor Page. I don't sit there. If we tackling the issue, I'm not gonna sit there and do all of that. I'm not gonna tell you, I should have fucked this, or I'm thinking about fucking that, and you got a small dick and all of that shit. That ain't Madam Money style. You heard? You got a small dick. You feel me? You watch porn and shit. You know that. I don't gotta tell you that. But it's seeming that he's being fingered out as a womanizer across this track, and he is telling Taylor Page, like, you can't even, like, come and tell me that because you have your own discourse and things that you let slide in the community. How could you call me a womanizer when you know what the damage R. Kelly has done in certain underage females' lives and stuff like that, but you're still going to play his music? So everybody is coming across very hypocritical. This was really, really stellar over Alchemist production. Just a stellar track. I don't really want to call it a song though, because to me it's not. Like I said, this thing is so visual at times and comes across as like real, musical theater. That musical theater have songs, but even in these places where they're unconventional, this is really just like poetry in motion. That's exactly what it is. All right, next track on here, Purple Hearts featuring Summer Walker and Ghostface Killer. You heard? This is like this is like the makeup, the breakup type vibe is going on there, and it was a dope way to close out Volume 1. Now, when we get into Volume 2, okay, the track is called Count Me Out. I'm gonna tell you, this shit is this is a fucking beautiful record. It's just beautiful. The whole shit is just beautiful. It comes on with the same lady in the beginning that tell them the truth or whatever. Says session 10, the breakthrough. So that means we just went through 9 therapy sessions of him, and now he's supposed to come to grasp and grips with everything that's going on. All right. He does it on the track, Count Me Out. That's why it even starts off the same way, It's just so ill that he uses all these inferences and just puts them together in such a way. Like, it's awe-inspiring me. I even, I get dumbfounded. I can't even speak sometimes. You feel me? It's crazy as hell. But where I was saying that, that whole cadence of is like a Catholicism thing. This track, when he said, "Am I drifting and falling?" That is gospel 1000%. So he's giving you all of these plays and stuff in here. Really, really just dope stuff. Next track on here is called Crown, and in my mind, it's like this running soulful track. He's telling you about the strong friend, or we always say this thing about the strong friend, and check on a strong friend, and being the strongest member of your family that everybody turns to, and all of these stuff like that. I can't please everybody. So it's like this thing of, everybody is coming to you as a strong friend, and you're trying to help, and you're trying to do this, and you're trying to do that, and you just can't do it. You just can't get it right. He's letting you know that, listen, everybody goes through this. We go through this. I go through this. We go through these things together. It's crazy. And again, it has this jazzy theater feel to it, where it's more of a soliloquy-based type of thing going on here. And all of these points on this album connects in such a way, it is just crazy to me. Next track on here is called Silent Hill. This is featuring Kodak Black again. And it's just like, this is trap music. This is like this trap track. And you try to figure out, why does he play into Kodak so much on here? Kodak's somebody who, has a sexual assault charge on him. He was pardoned by Donald Trump. He seemingly motherfucking disrespected Laura London. You heard Nipsey Hussle's wife. You feel me? After he passed and stuff. So he has these things where he has these run-ins and stuff like that. But he's just letting you know that he is like that too. You feel me? How you couldn't have somebody on an album like that if you cannot relate to them on that level. Really, really dope stuff. I was talking this over with Jersey the 420 Chef on the Salt in the Game podcast on the truststation.com. Make sure you check that out every Tuesday at 11 a.m. Eastern Standard Time and every Thursday night, 11 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, right before all the drops of new music come. Check me out over there on the truststation.com. And, Jersey has said to me that he's using Kodak to try to bridge that generational gap of those people that only listen to trap music and drill music. Now, since this album released, because I am like a, hits on the street type person, you feel me? I do ask, and I ask people, have you heard the Kendrick Lamar album? And, some people told me, no, I like something that, I bop a little better, stuff like that. And they happen to be the youth. So the tie-in and the draw here, I think that was a very, very strong point that Jersey made. So to you, sir. Next track on here, Savior. Now, this is the interlude. Now, it goes over, it has this man talking, and this guy, this white man, he is talking about, if things happen to you in the past, how it resonates and keeps carrying on. And it's just this whole adage that white people say about slavery. It happened so long ago, you can't carry it. It doesn't affect you now and all of these things. So he's playing into post-traumatic slave disorder. And that was a book that was published by Dr. Joy DeGray. I hope I said her name right. Please check it out if you have not read that, because it really ties in these influences from, the traumatic stress we endure from slavery. Like, you feel me? Something as minute. Because I'm really like this all the time. Like, you feel me? I'm very militant when it comes down to my community. I play around a lot. You feel me? I tell a lot of bad jokes as well, too. But when it comes down to the community, I'm very hands-on and I'm very militant in this respect. So when you even have something as minute as pants sagging. You feel me? I had this white lady tell me, pants sagging comes from the jail and all of these things. And if, black people stayed out of jail, it wouldn't translate to the street and the jail is running the fashion code. And I told her, I said, no, maybe pants sagging came from slavery. You feel me? With us not having adequate clothes and not being able to carry ourselves in a progressive manner during that time. And I would shut all conversations down like that at any given time. When somebody is from the outside looking in a derogatory respect, is no way. Do not talk that shit around me. I will serve you every day of the week. Thank you. All right. So really, really, again, it goes into Baby Keem, right? Saying, have you ever seen a mother strung out while you doing division? Your uncle ever stole from you the day after Christmas? And these are things that he's talking about, drug use and the 80s crack epidemic and how that tore the black community apart. So when the white guy is on there saying, these things happen to you and you can't keep them moving forward, it's things that have been imposed on us that makes these cycles keep going on and on and on and on. They always want to try to make us forget slavery for whatever reason. How could you do that when we know? It's nuts. So the official track on here, Savior, it's like, Kendrick taught you how to think, but he is not your savior. Cole taught you how to be empowered. He is not your savior. Future, taught you about the money machine or money counter. He is not your savior. And it goes into these things and say, how these figures in the media, they are not here to save us. They are here to entertain us, even if it makes it a thought process and stuff. This is a track as well. He says, like it when I'm pro-black, but I'm more like Kodak. So this is where that dichotomy of Kodak Black being on the album comes into place. He's trying to give you that juxtaposition of him being this ultra strong, this, that, and the third, coming out there like this, and you have a Kodak Black who is a shooter. You feel me? You know, hard gangster, shit like that. So, are you happy for me? He goes on and on with these things of, are you happy for me? And that is really, really coming from a place where when you seemingly try to do right, like he said on these other tracks and stuff like that, you know, I'm just trying to be myself. Are you happy for me? And it's seeming like he saying here, like, no, you can't be happy for me because you want me to be your savior. How could you be happy for somebody who you want them to be your savior, but they're not your savior? So I get all of that. He said he had caught COVID, and he made the tie-in with him, like Kyrie Irving and stuff. Does he stay holistic, or does he stay sick in his bed for 2 weeks and stuff like that? I thought that was really just a way to bring the world back into it, especially with a track like N95. It's like mask on, mask off type of thing going on there. He has a very important bar in here. Capitalist posing as compassionist is offending him. This is what just happened with the Black Lives Matter movement. You feel me? Capitalists, and that could be anybody, but we're talking about our community doing things to ourselves, right? Capitalists posing as compassionist, and it is offending us. And it is. You feel me? We just seen, you know, them gain all of this money. Black Lives Matter, seemingly an organization that was stolen from Darren Seals. Okay, I will always be vocal about this. He was later murdered. His brother was also murdered. And he was very, very, very vocal about these people coming in and taking over his movement and using his movement for themselves. And we just seen it happen. We seen them buy $6 million house in, you know, LA or whatever, the hills or whatever have you, where they just throwing parties and doing all of this stuff. And we just seen Michael Brown's dad say, you know, can he have some of the money? Can he reap some of the benefits of them using his child's name to gain all these financial things? So if they're not even taking care of the, you know, the names that we use, you know, Michael Brown, Tamar Rice, all of these people and stuff like that, if they can't even take the money and like help those families out, what do you think of they, who are they helping? They're helping them fucking self. And he's very, very upset with that. This was really, really just a dope record. It's a dope album. You feel me? All right, next track on here, Auntie Diaries. It starts off with saying, this is a conceptualization of a human being, all right? And he goes to tell a story about his gay aunt, okay, who he adores, looks forward to. You know, she has the best jewelry, she's around the best women, you feel me? Best car comes through, knocking, music and stuff like that. How he always looks like looking for this person who was very impactful and inspirational in his life, to the family dynamic of his cousin transitioning from a man to a woman and being called the F word, okay? Now, before I got into a higher nature of being, this is a word that I use. This is a word that I use not in a derogatory sense against gay people. Like, I never sat there and called a gay person this, but I have called men acting wishy-washy and funny style that word, and it's not right. You feel me? It's not right word to use, and just like it's not right for a lot of the verbiage that we use in the community to be used against each other and stuff like that. But it's just showing that, you know, he's come to a higher level of self. What I didn't like is that, you know, because he's so forthright with the word and he's just using it, that a lot of people of the LGTB community found offense in this. How can you bring attention to, you know, these type of circumstances while using a slur? That's the best way to do it. That's the best way to do it, because it's something that we all could relate to. Maybe you could be, you know, relate to being called one, and maybe I can relate to calling somebody one. But it's not coming from a place of disrespect. It's just things that fucking happen. It's crazy. Next track on here, Mr. Morale. Again, it is just so layered with this, like, the whole project. It's just so layered. It's so dope. Next track on here, like I said, Mr. Morale, I'm like, yo, I don't even know no more. You feel me? I don't even know no more, okay? Ooh, the next track on here is Mother I Sober featuring Beth Gibbons. She is from Portishead. A lot of y'all was introduced to Portishead by Hush Kingpins, Hordish Puss, Portish Huss. You feel me? It's okay. And he goes on to saying how he deals with grief, with a family member dying. You feel me? In this instance, where his grief before on that first track was him like maybe dealing with fame. This is like something real close to home, and how, you know, his grandmother died and he still feels her, he still sees her, and he drowned himself into, you know, bad things, just try to get over this grief. And that's something that a lot of y'all can relate to. But just when I thought that Kendrick was not going to touch base on this one topic that we do not talk about in the Black community, he talks about it on here. And I know that a lot of y'all resonate with the dealing with grief and death of a family member and kind of drowning your sorrows out. That this part in here where he says, like, he had a family member that his family was accusing of molesting Kendrick as a child. And even though he said that it did not happen, they didn't believe him. And it just like, it struck a chord in me so much. I've never been a victim of anything like that or anything like this. I'm like so protective of the youth when it comes down to things like this, that I know people that has been affected by it. I stand up for Black men, because when we think of child molestation in the Black community, it's always just against, you know, a Black female child. When you talk about molestation outside of the Black community, it's anything goes. You know, you see it in you know, the Catholic Church with the altar boys, you know, that daddy touching daughter and stuff like this and things like this. So I found it really, really crazy that he used this thing of, you know, it didn't happen to him, and he's standing up for his family member. They're accusing him of doing this, and they don't believe him, as opposed to how many times it happened, and you might tell somebody and they don't believe you that it's happening. I thought that was just really crazy. You know, you hear the story all the time. You know, my mom's boyfriend was touching me or doing this, that, and the third, and she turned a blind eye, you know, because financially they might need it, or something to that effect. How many times have, you know, that person said, hey, this has happened to me, and nobody believes him? So we get the reverse of this, where there's accusing a family member of doing this, and he's telling them, no, this hasn't happened, and they're not believing like him. That's crazy. Just a crazy, crazy thing. You've never felt grief until you felt it sober. He also touches on religion in this as well. Last track on here, Mirror. And I like Mirror. I like how it come across. All of this is the same good outro that he's been tying into all of these things and all of this stuff on here. You know, I choose me, I'm sorry. I choose me, I'm sorry. He's telling you straight up and down, like, listen, we got all these things going on. You got all of these things, all these influences, all these problems, all of this stuff. And if you don't choose yourself in these stuff, you don't stand up for yourself, how can we stand up for the community where all of these things is happening to? You got to stand up for yourself. Yo, I am like so dumbfounded. It's crazy because if you follow me on Twitter, I was fully prepared to have like a deep conversation, because you know Kendrick is a deep person. I was fully prepared to have a deep conversation in real time as the album dropped, when these things was going on. But it came on just from those first two bars, just that whole feel of what was going on here. I was kind of taken back by it. And if we being real here, one of my personal mechanisms when, you know, something is like crazy to me, or I need to digest something, even in grief and stuff like that, I find like that light in there. I try to joke around with it a lot. That's when you get a whole bunch of bad jokes from me and stuff like that, because that's one of my defense mechanisms when it comes down with dealing with grief and tough topics and things like that, if I'm not just trying to be dead on with you in that right space. So, like, man, listen, this album just This is crazy. This is a classic. This is a calling to the black community to like stop worrying about the things that's not important. Stop fronting. Stop fronting for the gram people you don't know. Stop fronting in the community on the people that you do know. Stop letting people front on us, and let's try to get some stuff together. Now, he does not at one point in here give us any solutions to these problems. Like, I don't know if you've seen it, you tell me, because I haven't seen at one point in here where he gives us any type of solution to these problems, because he's not our savior. Only we can do that. Only we can take all the body of work and all the situations and all the things that should be important to our community. Only we can take to that, and we can't do it online. That's something that he's saying here, that you cannot just be an activist online, and you got to be in that street every day, every single day, to get these points across. This was really, really a dope project. Tell me what you think about it in the comments below. You feel me? If it's something I miss, I'm telling you, because there's 1,001 things on here that you can do, say, interject in here and all of this stuff. I'm really, really looking forward to hearing from Kendrick himself about just the complexity of this whole project and this album, and what he was seemingly trying to do here, raising awareness in certain areas and stuff like that. Really, really dope. Make sure you leave your questions and comments in the comments below, but I'm about to get out of here. I'm Madam Money. You can follow me on Twitter and IG at Madam Money Says. That's MADAMMONEYSAYS. You can also hear me on thetruststation.com every Tuesday at 11 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, with the replay every Thursday, 11 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. But until then, I'll be seeing you guys around. Peace.
Ready, steady, aim at the target. I'm flooding the market, a break from the garbage. An artist, sensitive about mind pardon. No margin for error, flawless be rarer. The black cat goddess, you walking with a panther. Painting these pictures with words like Samantha, MacGyver. Alchemy on the track, make it lava. And I won't stop rocking till I retire. Singular or plural, she rank numero uno. Colder than you know.